I'm on mute. There we go. I was literally then saying how I felt out of practice and I was on mute. Well, there you go. Welcome in, guys. It's only been a couple of weeks out, but yeah, that whole thing felt foreign all of a sudden. You do it like an autopilot and then suddenly you have a break and you forget all the buttons you got to press. So sorry I was on mute at the start there, guys. Welcome in, Saduki. Welcome in, Lauren. Welcome in, Near Cheeks. How are you guys doing? Shout out to Saduki, one of the people that keeps our support group safe at the moment. I know they've been doing some stuff behind the scenes, so thank you for that. Lauren is somebody that is a mod on Twitch, so big shout out to Lauren. Also Discord now, aren't you, Lauren? I think I can't keep up. And then Near Cheeks, who moderates everything and is currently putting Dylan to bed. So shout out to Near Cheeks, who seems to have about 8 pairs of hands whenever we go live. So we're here on Thursday night, guys, for the first time in a long while. We're normally here on a Sunday night at 7 o'clock. If you've not been here before, first of all, welcome. My name's Joel. I'm based in the UK. I'm a patient advocate. And ultimately, this show exists because I figured there's only so many times I can tell my story and have an impact. And I wanted to do something to create a platform for other people to share theirs. It very much started off as a lived experience channel where we shared people's experiences with chronic illness, pain, long-term health conditions, mental health, etc. We're now very fortunate, as we are tonight, to have patient organisations, medical professionals, researchers we've had in the past, world leader dermatologists have joined us from airports. It's all gone very surreal and I'm very grateful. Yeah, here we are, and I'm back. It's going to be very quiet this month, or the last couple of weeks, the next couple of weeks. So for anyone that wasn't here on the last show, I was doing a bit of travel, doing a bit of talk and stuff in Europe. So we had to miss a show or two. Then at the weekend, those of you that have been eagerly waiting for this since Sunday, sorry, I tried everything to get well, but I literally would have been here with a bucket on my lap and it would have been fun for anyone, and it certainly wouldn't have done our guests any a service at all. So thank you for tolerating the delay, and very big shout out to Joe, our guest tonight, who'll be joining us in a bit, for their patience and flexibility in us moving this to a Thursday night, guys. But we've got other things happening in the next couple of weeks. So this weekend we've got our 4th community meetup. If you want to know more about our community meetups, join our Discord community. Obviously, to keep people safe in real life, the invitations only get extended to people we know and trust and know over a long period of time. So this is now our 4th meetup. We've done Norwich, Birmingham, then an accidental Norwich one because a load of you went and bought gig tickets to somewhere that me and Nia were going, and that turned into a sort of impromptu social. And this weekend, we're at the south of the country. I'm not going to say exactly where until we're there because who knows who's listening on the internet. So I very much look forward to that. And basically, we go out, and it means you can go out for a weekend and you haven't got to explain if you've got to go home early. You haven't got to explain if you're in pain. We plan breaks in. There is drinking that happens, but if that's not your thing, then we can accommodate that. So like this weekend, I think we're doing like some crazy golf, restaurants, shopping, drinks. We try to do a little bit for everyone, and people can come and go, take breaks and everything as they like, as they need, and more importantly, they don't have to explain it, which is basically what I wish I had years ago. That's what we do. We're also now working for this year on our first US one. I've got a couple of irons on the fire. I'm applying for, I've done like speaking pitches and things. If I can get something in America, then we'll tie in a community social there, as I know half and half of our audience are US versus the UK. Who have I missed? I missed somebody saying their location. They're way ahead of me. So what we normally do is, if you're here or if you haven't been here before, guys, please do say hello in chat. Tell us where you're from. We always like to know where people are from. Thanks for... I saw someone share it. Lauren from Washington State. So Lauren, thank you for sharing. Anyone else wants to say hello? They're a lovely bunch here in chat, guys. They're the same people you'll often see on our Discord server, and also when we stream over on Twitch, where we basically just play computer games. We don't do any of the serious talk there. We just forget and escape and distract, because we are first and foremost a peer support community. So please do get involved in the chat tonight. Saduki, thank you so much for becoming a channel member. I really appreciate it. We get no funding for this show, guys. We don't advertise. frankly, I'd feel uncomfortable if I started a show like this advertising some product or something I didn't believe in and certainly hadn't used myself. So we do this purely to share stories. So anyone that becomes a channel member generally just helps a few pennies come our way. So thank you so much. Really do appreciate it, Saduki. You're a star. And a shout out to all our current channel members. I would normally have a list open, but I'm unorganized tonight, so I can't thank you all. I know Sire's definitely one. That's terrible, isn't it? Every show I normally would thank our channel members, and sorry, I'm not very organized. I've been unwell, guys. That's my excuse. Welcome in, Snuffle. I hope you're good. Welcome in, Amy. Sorry I missed you, Amy, there dropping into chat. Great to see so many names and faces and people I recognize, and also some new ones. So excited about this, says ASIF. So am I. Thank you so much for sending a representative tonight. I really appreciate it. So looking forward to talking to Jo, and also because the amount of Joes that are at your organisation, I don't have to worry about getting names wrong. like if I get this one wrong, then I really do have brain fog. There was a show a couple of weeks back where I had really bad brain fog. Anyone that hasn't experienced it will not understand it. I was all over the place. I didn't know what I was doing. I was absolutely winging it. It was like wading through quicksand. Amy's forgot there's elections on. No worries, Amy. We'll see you in a bit. We'll be here when you return. Don't forget your ID. No, with blue emoji like on Twitch, so the blue heart will have to do. Yeah, we're working on the emojis on YouTube. They're different. They're more restricted. We can't have as many emojis on YouTube. So yeah, I'm working on it. And ultimately, we didn't really have a lot of channel members. Now there's a sort of growing number of you. I will invest more time and effort in giving you little things to wear as badges of honor for supporting the channel. So thank you. I don't know if have I got a link for that where you can support. I don't think I have. What does this one do? I'm absolutely there. We go. Look, scan that QR code if you want to know what I'm talking about being channel member. Basically, if you used to Twitch, just like a Twitch subscription, a couple of pounds a month, and basically we get a big chunk of that, and it helps us cover some of the costs. So thank you for all those who've done it without me even asking tonight. Unbelievable. Welcome in, Selby. I missed you. How have you been? Right, guys, your last chance to tell us where you're watching from before we drop chat off screen. So if you've not been here before, we take the chat off screen to keep our guests safe, to make sure the video doesn't get ruined by some, random person on the internet. But I still see it all, and I will feature the best comments and questions. So please do keep the chat going. We are a peer support community first and foremost. So you're not being rude. If you ask our community about something, if you lean into them for a bit of peer support, and it's got nothing to do about what me and my guests are talking about tonight, you're not being rude. It's what we're here for. So please use it. The one thing you do need to be aware of, you will see the little badges next to people's names that indicate where they're watching this. YouTube, as you can see, is the majority. So when the chat comes off screen, you will only see the chat with the people you are watching this on. So if you're watching on my Facebook page right now, you'll only see the messages from other people on that platform. So if you want to really get involved in chat and get to know people, then head over to our YouTube channel, because you'll see all of this stream of chat that's currently going on that's about to get hidden. So I've been unwell at the weekend, so I feel like I should probably save my voice at this point. So should we bring our guest in? Because that first few minutes flew by. So thank you for that, guys, particularly when I started on mute like the idiot I am. So the chat is going to disappear from screen, but like I say, we still see it, guys. We'll still engage with it. I'll still feature the best ones. So thank you so much for that. Sorry, you get a massive big picture in my head right now. And we will stop the music. And guys, I'm absolutely delighted tonight, and finally, after a few delays, to welcome onto the stream Jo Davies, who's the Assistant Director of the Axial Spondyloarthritis International Federation, or ASIF. Jo, welcome in. How are you?
Very well, thank you, Joel, and thank you for having us.
Oh no, thank you, because like I say, this should have happened a little while ago, and we're here now, so thank you for accommodating. I suppose we are a chronic illness podcast and live stream it. These things happen.
No irony there, is there?
And it's normally the guest. It's for once is me, and I felt very guilty. So thank you for accommodating us. And so for anyone who has not come across yourself and what you do, we'll really dig down into sort of ASIFs and everything later, but do you want to maybe just give a headline about yourself and the organization, and then we'll go from there?
Yep. So Axial Spondyloarthritis International Federation, or much easier to say ASIF, is an umbrella organization. It's a global umbrella organization. So our members are patient organizations that support patients with axial spondyloarthritis all around the world. So we have members in around around 55 organizations in around 45 countries across all continents. So that's really exciting. It's a wonderful, I think it must be quite lonely to run a national patient organization. So to have this network where you can really share information and support each other and come together and really, obviously, to make our voices much louder, you're stronger together, really, on the global.
And as someone that does most of their advocacy at a global level and hardly any international, which I often feel very guilty about, like, the benefits of that are huge, and the best practices and the networks, and you can really put weight behind the work you do, can't you?
Yeah. Well, there are organizations, there are countries where, I mean, we really, in the UK, we've got it quite good, relatively speaking. There are countries out there that just don't have rheumatologists, that, don't have the sort of the network. There's massive swathes of countries where people are living in very rural situations, and they have to travel so far to get to a city, to get to a rheumatologist. So that, there are very different problems. So if a patient organization that is developed and in Europe or in America or somewhere can help those organizations, then it's win-win, really.
Yeah, lifting each other up. and
Yeah.
like I say, we'll really do a deep dive into what you guys do and how you do it a bit later on. And in terms of like yourself, how did you get involved? And I'm guessing there's probably a diagnosis here somewhere that set you on this path.
Yeah. Yeah, I was diagnosed. I was diagnosed back in my probably mid-20s, so it's a long time ago now. And even before we had biologic drugs, for example, I had my story. So I started feeling some terrible pain in my late teens and early 20s. And I think I was working I have little pockets of memory of when it was bad. I don't remember it all as a whole journey at all anymore, but I remember not being able to sleep. I was 18 and I was working as an au pair in Switzerland, and I couldn't sleep. I can remember building up cushions and pillows, so I was almost sitting upright to sleep. And then I also remember one night being out with friends and having to borrow someone's crutches because I just couldn't walk. But I always had a real fear of missing out, so I never actually stopped. And I was probably quite active because I was working as an au pair. So I think I just kept going. It was many, many years before I was diagnosed, and it was that one GP that I went in and burst out crying and slammed my fist on the table and said, "It's not backache."
Yeah,
something else.
I don't expect you to remember exactly, but did you sort of like soldier on, for one of a better term, like for a while before you realised, well, actually, this might be something a bit more?
Years. And I saw doctors, but they would say, "Oh, you're young, you're fit, it's backache, we can't do anything."
Yeah.
And I didn't have any other signs and symptoms. You sometimes other symptoms will appear that might give you more of an indication, but I didn't have those. So no, I did soldier on. And actually getting the diagnosis is a really weird moment of a mixture of relief, because it's good to know, but then also that that knowledge that this is your life, that's forever now.
Yeah, we get a lot of people say that, like, you get that validation, like, I wasn't just making it up, or I wasn't, because we get people on here who'll say they get told they got a low pain threshold, or silly little things like that, which really stick with people for life to hear that sort of stuff. So you get that validation, but then you've got to process what that means and what that looks like.
Yeah, a very good friend of mine. I've now become involved in NAS in the UK, so I'm chair of my own little NAS group at Euston in London, and we meet weekly and do exercises and hydrotherapy if we can. And one of my what do you call them, colleagues, or I don't know, one of my friends there, I suppose, she said the weird thing is you have to actually almost mourn the body or the person that you've lost, you're not going to be anymore.
Yeah,
You're not going
yeah.
to
That
have it.
grief comes up an awful lot on this show, like weekly. And it is hard. And I think I don't know. I don't find that sort of like a linear thing either. You'd have periods where you adjust and you think you're on top of it, and then you're reminded of something you can't do or something you used to do, and then it sort of hits you again, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So
So
it
in
was,
terms, sorry,
sorry,
after no, Karen.
it was through NAS that I saw the job at ASIF advertised, and I was working as a sort of freelance administrator at the time anyway, so I had the time. So I was the first employee. It was an organisation that was run entirely by trustees then.
Mhm.
This was back in 2017. Although it was founded in 1988, it was just run by trustee representatives from member organisations, and they'd meet every couple of years, and they'd um, have a meeting of all the members, and it was all very exciting. But then not a lot had happened between the meetings.
Yeah.
They didn't have anyone to kind of
Yeah, push it
keep
forward.
going. Yeah, so they did decide to employ someone, and that was me in 2017. So I
I
started
had
in
no idea it
2018.
was as recent as that, because I used to interface with NAS because I did have a diagnosis of AS for a while and then it changed. So that was like where I was pointed to, and they were brilliant, and lots of my physios had sort of like involvement with them, and they've always been a like great organisation. But I had no idea that they were
Well, no, that NAS has been running. It's much bigger organisation staff-wise in the
yeah.
UK. This is as if was
Oh, sorry, my
yeah,
apologies, my
yeah,
apologies. Okay, cool. Yeah,
yeah.
so in terms of like, just if we can just go back to your condition, what did treatment look like then, and how much has that changed? Because we talk a lot about like treatment on this show and access to it, and what a difference that makes. So I'd be interested to hear how, because you having it over such a period of time, um, you know, what did that look like and how did it change?
Well, I was just put on NSAIDs. I was put
Hmm.
on non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs for years. I had a lovely rheumatologist at the Homerton Hospital in London, and he was always very excited by my X-rays, and I think he did some teaching, and my spine looked very good on X-rays for teaching, apparently. So
That's a claim to fame.
I know, and so yeah, so that, but I was young and not that into, I suppose, being ill or being part of that a patient support group or anything, or going to the rheumatologist. And when he would just measure me and keep me on the same drugs over and over, I sort of stopped going to see him.
Yeah.
And I also moved. There's other things going on. But then what happened, and I can't remember what year it was that the biologic drugs appeared on the market. But my brother, by this point, also diagnosed, and seeing the same rheumatologist, the rheumatologist said to him, "Oh, you must get your sister to come back because these drugs would be really good for her." And so I did.
There's something in that though, because I didn't
Yeah,
engage. Like I had rheumatic disease very young, and when I got to sort of 18, I kind of was done with it, and I wanted to live and didn't want to keep like going back to the routine appointments or being having setbacks and being a
yeah,
bit of a guinea pig. And I definitely went for a similar sort of thing where for about 5 years there, from about 18 to around about 23, maybe 25, I like just step back from it, and much to my I found it the hard way why that wasn't the best approach,
yeah,
because things got a lot worse.
yeah,
But I must admit, because I find the whole development of these treatments amazing, because when I was a child I was always told these things are coming, stick with it. I was in a wheelchair back then, and I like, look, it's not always going to be things like NSAIDs and methotrexate, and that's our only options. And I didn't really believe it. I thought they were just telling the kid something to give them hope. So then when I went back in my 20s and everything had gone wrong, to then find biologics and stuff like that, and to have such within 2 weeks of me taking my first injection, my pain had dropped down, my mobility had come back, my rashes had gone because I got psoriasis. Just blew my mind. So for me, it was like, it's really weird because of the time frame, like being told they were going to come as a kid and 10 years later they were there. That proper shocked me.
yeah. It was astonishing. I mean, yeah,
And we needed them, don't we? Because you need them options, because if
yeah.
not, people can burn through things pretty quickly. I don't know how many sort of treatment changes you've had, but unfortunately our conditions are quite good at evolving to what's available. And
I've been really lucky. I haven't had to change. I've been on many years on each one. I have had to change then, as I think we all do eventually. So I think I'm probably on my third or something in many years. So yeah, it's been good.
Yeah.
Touch wood.
No, it's nice to hear a positive. Yeah, nice to hear a positive. Sorry. So in terms of the diagnosis delays, we've had a few people over the years on the show with AxialSpA disease, AS, things like that, and they've talked. I've heard the figure 7 years mentioned quite a lot of times. Where are we at the moment in terms? I appreciate it changes country to country, but in general terms, where are we with the delay?
Well, we've done a survey. It's
Brilliant.
called the International Map of Axial Spondyloarthritis, or IMAS, and we've just published the global report. So we've now surveyed over 5,500 people worldwide, right across the world, and that's showing 7.4 years on average. It does differ. Different countries have different. I think it's around that mark in the UK. But it's just not going down. So despite
that was going to be my next question, is it doesn't appear to be changing.
No, which is really weird. Despite there being such hugely better treatment, these people are still not getting that initial diagnosis. And
do you think that's sort of awareness of the condition, education, or do you think there's other factors at play?
Yeah, it's actually, we did do a project on the delay to diagnosis, because actually this survey, even when we did it at European level, it's always shown that the delay to diagnosis is the biggest problem. So we did do a project which did identify sort of 6 barriers, but it is about it's primary care. It's the GPs then spotting that people have that condition, but it's also then I suppose it's general public awareness as well, or your own awareness. And then it's a difficult disease. It's not a well-known name, so that just general awareness raising is important. But even when you do get to a rheumatologist, sometimes there's still a delay in getting people onto the right treatments. Somehow it's still not happening quickly enough or well enough. But yeah, I'd say it is massively about education. And I think rheumatology, even in most teaching hospitals, is a tiny part of the whole medical education. And so, and we know we've not got enough people going into rheumatology. And then
that's a big issue at the moment. Isn't it?
For a GP, how much are they actually going to know about axial spondyloarthritis? But we do. Axial spondyloarthritis does have, or axSpA, I should say, it's a lot easier. It does have. We do often have other conditions alongside. So you might have uveitis, which I have, which is swelling of the iris. That happens just every now and again, usually with stress. You might have irritable bowel syndrome. You might have psoriasis, or there are other conditions that people have, and they could easily be spotted by other healthcare professionals, and that's where we need to get the awareness, to raise awareness as well. So it's the general public, so people can identify that they've got it. It's knowing what it is. It's with healthcare professionals, all of them, the whole holistic approach, everybody.
So, because I imagine you touched upon it earlier when you said about the backache thing. Like, I can imagine, like, if I'm a male approaching 40, a little bit of weight around the middle. I imagine if I present to a GP with backache, there's going to be a lot of months of ruling out just lifestyle things and health before you even get to look at inflammatory kind of sides of things. But like my first experience with it was AS then. Was when I was a child, and I remember all my friends just thought I was talking about dinosaurs when I said ankylosing spondylitis. That always stick with me, and they actually realised, because there's a lot of crossovers, like things like you mentioned, psoriatic arthritis and things, and there is actually a test, isn't there, they can do looking for that genetic mark. I'm not going to be able to remember this, something 27 H and B.
Well, it's HLA-B27, and if
so I was close.
So again, it differs around the world, but something like 80% of people with the disease have that. But of course, for those other 20, if you haven't got it, so it's not
Yeah.
proof you haven't got it. It can help prove you have got it. You know, it's a good indicator if you do have the gene that that's what it is.
Yeah.
But it can be misleading if you haven't.
Yeah. But I must admit, for me, that when that came back negative, that then made them look broader. So it did help in the long run, but there was a lot of confusion then for a period there.
Yeah.
And am I right as well? Because when I was growing up around it, it was very much, I think it's a bit of a myth now that it was sort of mostly a male
Yeah.
sort of thing, wasn't it? And
I had a rheumatologist who said to me, you probably don't really have it because you're female, and you'll go into remission when you're 40, because that was what the thinking was a long time ago. And I was like, not sure. No, they think it's equal. Well, so now we know that it's a much broader, much larger disease, and that's why we call it axSpA, axial spondyloarthritis, because the ankylosing spondylitis bit, that's just the radiographic. That's just when you've got fusion. So I have some fusion in my spine, in my neck and my lower back. I can't move my neck very much. It'd be a very dangerous driver, so I don't drive anymore. but yeah, but there is the earlier or the another form of the same condition which doesn't actually have the fusion, but you still have all the same pain, all the same fatigue, brain fog you mentioned earlier. You know, it presents to all intents and purposes exactly the same disease, really. You just don't actually have the fusion. You may go on to have the fusion, you may not, you know, but it is the same disease. So that's why we changed the name to axial spondyloarthritis, or axSpA, so that encompasses everyone, and more women fall into that other category.
Right.
So of the whole disease, they now reckon it's about equal 50-50 men and women, and actually is around about affects up to 1 in 150 people. So it's quite a lot. It's not a rare disease.
No, it's not. And I must admit, I've found since doing all of this, you know, I found it a lot more common than I probably was expecting it, you know, because as somebody that grew up around this stuff as a child, you sort of felt very isolated and like there was nobody else in the world, and you know, pre-internet obviously as well. But you realise just how many people are impacted, and it never stops surprising me, that delay, that diagnostic delay. Like everyone I speak to or anyone we've had on this show is always that. Around about 5 to 10 years seems to be the sort of general thumb. So is there anything on the horizon that brings any hope that we might be getting on top of that, or it might come down, or so you say it's not really moved, has it?
Well, no. So we're always raising awareness, and that's what World AS Day is about, which is this Saturday. It's always the first Saturday in May, after the 1st of May. So we can't have it fall on the 1st of May. So this year it's Saturday, 4th of May. And we do a social media campaign each year, and this year it's nearly always around signs and symptoms, but this year it is about signs and symptoms. We've got symptom checkers, we've done messages, so we're asking everybody to join in, basically. So we have all the patient organizations all over the world, and we've developed a campaign, and if you look online on our social media, you can see all the same social media assets, all in the different languages. It's in Arabic and French and Spanish and Bulgarian, and you know, it's just phenomenal. It's such a wonderful campaign to see it unfold, and it does run throughout April and May, although the day is on the 4th of May. You can go onto our website, www.asif.info, and the World AS Day page has a toolkit. You can download any assets, you can find all our social media, and you can just share our posts, or just take something off there and create your own post. We also have the Global Spondyloarthritis Summit, which is on tomorrow and Saturday. So that's run by the SAA in America, and it's 2 days of talks and workshops. So you can join in. You can register for free. And that you can find the link again on our website. And the other thing we do is walk your AS off. So that's for the whole month of May. People walk, and it's a virtual walk, so you can join a team online and count your steps. I think basically altogether we're trying to walk to Mars, which will take a few years.
That's awesome.
We've also got we've got a selfie sign you can download and print, and
Brilliant.
take a selfie and share it. And we just ask everyone to use the hashtag World AS Day 2024.
Yeah. If anyone's watching this that wants to get involved, then that's the one to use. I will also pop that in chat for anyone that's listening to this back on the podcast a few weeks down the line. Then that'll be in the show description as well. So and are you seeing that momentum grow, especially in a world of social media and everything like that growing? Are you getting more and more involvement?
It's phenomenal. So I mean, I was happy with a few thousand when I started in 2017. I think we had last year 48 million we reached.
Wow.
So it's huge, and I feel it's bigger every year. I feel it's bigger this year. You know, I can really see it growing, and as our members pick it up more and more and more, and I think it's amazing. It's a lovely thing to see come together. I think how much it really gets out there and really gets the message out there enough to reduce the delay. I think you have to do more, and I think that's where patient organisations in country have to do programs and have to advocate. So you need to get to the healthcare professionals somehow. We create tools to help our patient organisations, and they do this themselves, to talk to policymakers, which I know you know about, policymakers and the governments and insurers or whoever runs your whoever gets you your drugs, I suppose, or gets you your diagnosis or creates your rheumatologists. I don't know.
I love that line though when you said we need to do more, because it's really true. It comes up on here a lot normally from me, where I say, like, sharing in stories is really important, but we can't expect people to hear one story and just go out and change a habit of lifetime and really tackle the issues. So you've got to kind of meet them where they are and ram it down the throats a little bit and get creative. And I think that's what's great about what you're doing with that initiative, that it is creative and embraces social media and gets people involved, and at the very least somebody sees something like Walk Your Ass Off and they're like they're going to ask questions, they're going to look into it, and that's why as well we have people like yourself come on here. We started off by just sharing stories, but I think it's really important that we get everyone from around the table who influence those things and has a say on the access to care people have and this sort of thing, because that's the only way we're going to get change, isn't it?
It is true.
And I also believe because I saw you at EULAR last year. Your stall was always so busy. Every time I walked past, there was a massive queue. So I thought I'll leave you to it. And then we sort of accidentally met getting onto the same plane to come home. But you're there again this year. So I will make time to speak to you this time. And I think you've got an event as well around that IMAS project you mentioned earlier. Do you want to maybe just sort of remind people what that's about and where they can find that?
So we've just launched the International Map of Axial Spondyloarthritis, or IMAS Global Report, and we're having an event in Vienna the evening before EULAR. So if anyone's going to EULAR, please get in touch and we can tell you about the event. It's going to be a celebration of the success of the survey so far, and also we'll be talking about how we plan to use it going forward, and we'll have a few patient stories and some of the statistics. And if you go to the IMAS page on our website, the data from the survey is all quite interactive, so I think it's quite fun to see. And it does come up with there's some amazing some frightening data, I suppose. Amazing, can't be too excited about it, but sort of says something like 74% of people say they have trouble finding a job, or have how many people have trouble with relationships or getting dressed in the morning. There's it is a phenomenal set of data, and it's definitely worth having a look at.
And that holistic side is really important, isn't it? Because it comes up on here a lot again, where it's like you're asked what hurts and where, but nobody's asking you about how it's impacted your career or your family, or even just those little things you used to do, and you no longer can't. And we need to be. We might not have the answers, and I think that's why we don't have the conversation. As medical professionals, maybe aren't equipped to deal with the answers, but it shouldn't stop us from talking about it and thinking about how we can find solutions.
Mental health is a huge element to
Yeah.
helping everyone to feel better and live a better life. And yet it's one thing that's really so rarely addressed, or you get so little help. I think the peer-to-peer support, so joining a patient organization, although I avoided it when I was younger, I really love it now, and I've met
Yeah.
so many amazing people that I probably wouldn't be without it now. I think it's enhanced my life, just being part of some of these networks and meeting these people. And I don't know, you can find some sort of joy in adversity, can't you? Or
Yeah, totally. Like the people you saw on chat before you joined us tonight for the interview, they've got me through the darkest of places, and they're people I didn't know before the pandemic or whatever. That, because my way of dealing with it is I would do everything I could, and then when I got sick, I'd hide away because I didn't know how to explain it to people. I didn't know what to say, and then that just left you isolated. So to have a group of people where they understand, and you don't have to explain why you're cancelling or why you need to make those adjustments, or they're just going to make the best ones make the adjustments on your behalf, and they're a step ahead of you, know you're having a bad day before you do. So it's so important, isn't it? But I, like you, I had no interest when I was younger. The last thing, I don't know why, in my head I thought it was going to be people sitting in a circle saying who had the worst pain, and I had no interest in that.
No.
But it's not that at all, is it?
No, exactly. Yeah. Well, I think, and a lot more younger people are getting involved, I think, now. I don't know whether Google helps with that, but yeah.
And I think it's also like we mentioned a bit earlier, like meeting people where they are and being creative and understanding that there are other options now. Like, for example, one of the things we do is we go to a platform called Twitch and we play computer games together, and nobody's really helping each other in terms of talking about it directly. But for that hour or two that we're doing it, we've all forgotten about how uncomfortable we are or what we might have to face the next day. And a bit like your campaigns around World AS Day and everything, leaning into the social media side, you're more likely to reach people that are not going to maybe turn up to an in-person face-to-face group or whatever.
Yeah, that's also true.
Yeah, it's really important what you're doing. And I suppose before I let you go, because I appreciate you've joined us at short notice on a Thursday night instead of our planned Sunday when we should have done this first time around, I guess I just want to give you an opportunity to sort of there's probably two sides. One, to tell people about what advice you'd give if they'd just been recently diagnosed. That's always sort of a very popular request we get on this show. And also where maybe people could go if they want to get involved more as well, or they've been inspired after hearing some of the things you've talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the one thing I would always tell my younger self, if I was looking at it that way, is you need to exercise, or you need to keep moving. The only thing that is really good for axSpA is keeping movement, keeping mobile. And I personally, I don't think this is medical advice, but I think it should be anything that floats your boat, basically. So if you want to go sailing or jogging, or some rheumatologists will say don't jog, it'll hurt your joints, but if that's the exercise you want to do, you're going to do it, and that's got to be better for you. Just whatever it is that is it dancing? Just find the thing that keeps gets you excited, keeps you moving, or that you'll just do. I've got a dog now, and honestly, it's transformed me. I am so much more upright. Just walking every day. It's a big dog.
Well, if I didn't have a dog, I knew I wouldn't walk. I lost my last one a couple of years ago, and I went 6 months. And it was so damaging for me, not just physically, for my mental health as well. I hadn't appreciated how much I enjoyed getting outside, and also them random hellos to those familiar faces. You don't even know who they are, but you see them every morning on the route and everything else. I realised how isolating that was. That I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's the best thing I've ever done, and I wish I'd done it years and years ago. Definitely.
I think I was just going to say as well on that movement thing. I think it's really important to say as well, to add to that, is like, that bar can move, the goalpost can move, and you can still find enjoyment. So like I was somebody, when I couldn't play contact sport anymore, I thought that was it and I didn't want to do anything. And then I found enjoyment through walking and cycling and other things. But there was a long period, I suppose it goes back to grief, what we were talking about earlier, where I didn't want to contemplate doing anything else. So, try stuff, I think is probably worth adding.
Yeah, I think it is, and it's good to do things in a group, I think, or at least where you meet people, as you say. I meet a lot of people on my dog walks, and I do my exercise as well once a week with my group. And I do think you should joining your national or whatever patient organization if you can. There's always a lot of support and help. There is a page on our website that lists the ones that are our members. So wherever you are in the world, you can find the member organization nearer to you. But you can join others. So it depends on your language. If everybody's English speaking, you can join NAS in the UK or the SAA in America. They all have really a lot of really useful information. NAS in the UK does incredible stuff. It's one of the really, really well advanced organizations.
Some lovely people there as well, and like really understand the patient. I think it always comes across like yourselves when people get that putting patients involved and every step of the process can only be a good thing. I think that really comes across when people are that sort of patient focused mentality.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. That is one of our main focuses, is it's making sure the patient voice is heard and is part of...
Well, it definitely comes across. Trust me, as somebody on the outside, it comes across. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Is there anything else that we haven't covered that whilst you got the opportunity, you'd like to go over? Like you are a pro at this, Jo. There were so many things you answered before I got to them where I'm setting up for you, Lara, and you're there already. So thank you so much, and the IMAS work. So you're clearly done this before.
That's me being. I haven't. That's me being nervous. Going, I've got to say that.
You're one step ahead of me. That's brilliant.
There's a comms person watching, and you go, I've got to get World AS Day.
So for the benefit of the comms person, is there any other sort of sound bites or any sort of things you want to push people towards? Or maybe your social medias or anything like that?
So we're on everything. World AS Day, hashtag World AS Day 2024, I've already said. We've got Facebook, Instagram. You can find them all through our website, which is www.asif.info. And please do just share and have a look at our socials, have a look at our website.
Brilliant. And for anyone who's listening to this back on the podcast, I appreciate it might be a few weeks down the line. All of those links will be down in the description, and it doesn't mean you can't still get involved in those and those hashtags. We don't need to limit it, do we, to the awareness month or whatever. We can keep that conversation going. So please do get involved, guys, if you listen to this back. And Jo, the chat has been very grateful and appreciative of your input tonight. So thank you so much for joining us, particularly at short notice on a different day.
Thank you.
And I very much look forward to meeting you again properly this time at EULAR in Vienna. And I'd love to hear more about your work. And please do come back when you've got another project or something to tell us about. We'd love to hear about it.
We will do. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jo, for joining us. Good evening.
Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Guys, thank you so much for your contribution there. The messages in chat were brilliant. I was trying to feature as many as I could whilst also, I'm a man, I can't really multitask very well, whilst listening and sharing and everything. That was great. And hopefully you guys saw I was sharing the website address as much as I could. Let me do that one more time. Website, they're really easy, asif.info. Go get involved there, guys. Go see what they do. So that the sort of global body, I suppose, for anyone that's used to me talking about what I do with IFPA, it's a similar sort of thing, but for sort of axSpA disease. So go check that out. And my views on global collaboration. I feel like it's the only way to get things done, to utilize best practice, and to make sure that if someone has a really good piece of work, it doesn't just get stuck behind walls in some corner of the world. We can share it and improve people's patient outcomes globally. So go support that, guys. They're doing amazing things. And who knows? I don't. Jo's still in the green room, so she's listening. But maybe I'm taking my podcast recorder to EULAR, and I am on a mission to get a couple of podcast episodes whilst there. Maybe we can collar ASIF to say a few words when I'm there as well. The comms person's in chat. Are you gonna? There's lots of Joes at ASIF, as I mentioned earlier. If you're there, other Joe, I might be collaring you. So yeah, I will be walking around EULAR with a recorder. I'll also be at the IFPA conference, guys. Possibly EADV as well. So yeah, lots of stuff coming up for the podcast for this year. It's gonna be really exciting. We have an editor now as well. I really should give them a name check. I haven't got the name of their organization to hand, but next time I'll give them a name check. They might give me a discount then if they're listening. But we do have our editor, and like I say, guys, we are completely unfunded. We're not a patient organization or anything. It's just me and my wife trying to help people, raise awareness, meet people where they are, fill a few gaps, because as an independent you can be a little bit more agile. We have less red tape. So everything you see here is bought and paid for out of us and the generosity of you awesome people that support us, either on Twitch through subscriptions there, or as a channel member here on YouTube. That's it. You know, if I go do a talk, we chuck that all towards buying another camera or a microphone or or whatever we can do. Pretty pink lights that hopefully get people's attention and get them to listen for 5 minutes longer than they maybe would have done. So if you want to support the stream on YouTube, you can do there. But we are normally here every Sunday. But like I say, guys, if this is your first time here, hit the follow or subscribe button wherever you're watching to get notifications when we're live. Or even better, you can grab the QR code on screen right now to find our Discord community, where there's automated alerts that go in there when we're live. And all these lovely people, 80-90% of the lovely people you've seen in chat tonight are there every day, talking and laughing and distracting and escaping from whatever it is they're dealing with. And we've got loads of caregivers as well as people living with conditions, which is really important to us here. So if you want to get involved, head over there. And then maybe next time we're having a community meetup like we are this weekend, you will be you can join us. That'd be amazing. We've even got somebody coming from Ireland to meet us on the safe coast of England this weekend, which is amazing. Who would have thought our peer support could achieve that sort of thing? We've also got big plans for this year, guys. Like, you know, if you know me by now, you know I don't stop. I can't stop. It's kind of, once this advocacy bug bites and your inbox fills up with challenges and other people's issues, it's very hard to stop. So and I'm trying to practice pacing if any of my doctors are watching. I did actually have my pain management team offer to come on. I need to give them a chase because that'll be a really interesting conversation. You can watch me get told off live on air when my pain management physio joins me, and I'm talking about how I haven't slowed down. But yeah, lots coming for this next year, guys. Some of them plans are actually getting fleshed out this weekend in the in-person meetup, so watch this space for that. But there will be a very long-winded way to say that there's not going to be a lot of shows on this May because of that. Same as in June. In June, I'm actually only home for about a week and a half of the month. Nia Cheeks is not going to be happy. Well, she's fine. She supports it. But I think after a week and a half of a 5-year-old and a spaniel, she might change her mind when I'm jetting around. So May and June are going to be very quiet for the live shows. But we have a big backlog of podcasts. So if you haven't checked out already, what happens is we do the live stream, the video of just when I end. If you missed the start, guys, when this stream ends, you'll be able to find the full rerun on whatever platform you're watching, whether that's my Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or YouTube. You'll be able to watch that from the minute I click end stream right back from the start. Then in a couple of weeks' time, you will see, you just get the interview only video. So you ain't got to worry about all my waffle and all this nonsense I'm talking at the end here. You'll just hear from Jo start to finish. And then a couple of weeks after that, the podcast comes out, and we do that so we're not bombarding everybody with the same story. We try and mix it up a bit, release according to awareness days and months and everything else. So if you haven't already, check out the podcast, because you will get things in a different order to what you get here on the live show. And yeah, so there will be lots of podcasts still coming out every 2 weeks. Like I say, we do have support on that now. So a big thank you to editor Dan. That means I haven't got to end this stream and then sit here till 11 o'clock tonight clipping videos and fixing audio issues and all the usual thing. I get to switch off in a minute and go see my wife and actually be a dad and have a life outside of advocacy. So that's very much welcome. So yeah, if you wonder where we are for the next month or two, guys, there will be lots on my socials about the work we're doing in person. But for the time being, the podcast will keep ticking along. And Yeah, and as the message in chat there from ASIF, let me share that on screen for you as well, guys. Give you a plug. Please go check out their socials, because, like I say, you got World AS Day this weekend. You've got the Walk Your Ass Off campaign over this month. Go get involved with that. Yeah, go give them follow. And like I say, in the videos, all in the show description will be all of the links you need for ASIF and anything we have talked about tonight. I think that probably wraps that up. I've done a lot of talking tonight after having a couple of weeks off. If anyone's got anything else to say in chat, please let's hear it now. If anyone wants to, any last minute where tell us where you're watching from, guys, because we always like knowing that. That'd be awesome. If you haven't already, go check out our Discord. And when am I back? So we're not back this weekend, not back this Sunday. I will be back. I think Amanda Green is our next guest. Sorry, brain fog's awful. Amanda Green is our next guest. You might remember her from last May. She lives in the LA, in LA. She's a massive lupus advocate, huge name in advocacy over in the USA. If you've forgotten who Amanda Green is, she was the lady that turned up on the live stream with slime. And we basically done a 40-minute to an hour conversation while she played with slime as a visual representation for her lupus campaign at the time. She danced, she had a costume change, very entertaining. And as a typical Brit, I just sat here and smiled and did not dance or get involved. But I'm sure that'll be entertaining again when Amanda comes back later this month. So keep an eye out for that on social, guys. Until next time, have a, I was going to say weekend. I'm used to doing this on Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your week. I hope it's kind to you. If you need us, you know where we are for peer support. And until next time, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.